Yeah, Senator.
And then the lady.
Yeah, just we want your continued help with the this Senator Sheldon and our area 029 and Representative Williams 02905, 02907, when they ran the zip codes at the prison. A lot of people that's getting out of jail are coming back to this neighborhood, so we're very concerned about helping them reentry programs. And then especially after we heard in recent news where the news Attorney General wants to increase the mandatory sentencing in private prisons. So a lot of us are very concerned about that because we're trying to help people get back on their feet and become productive members of society.
Yeah.
So we need your continued support, but just give me a little idea.
You will have it.
Give me an idea of what they're doing with reentry at the federal level.
Well, so far, the original reentry bill that passed through our Judiciary Committee and then passed into law, we have protected the funding for that. It is still there. We then went to work on the next sentencing reform bill. I was the author of the reentry part of that bill. Senator Cornyn and I were the two bipartisan authors. So I've been watching that and hoping that it will move. It's been tied to the sentencing part, and that has been its political problem. We could have passed it if we'd been willing to break it off, but the supporters of the sentencing part have said, don't break off your part because then it'll be harder for us to pass our sentencing reform. So, and I've agreed to that so far. That might change if it looks like that's really going to be a permanent blockade. But for years we could have gotten that through. I have constantly pushed that as part of reentry, there had to be support for the communities into which the reentry was taking place. And the graphic that you know was done first by the AT Wall and I, years ago, looking at who came out of the ACI and where they went. And we had this map of all the zip codes, and they were colored depending on how many people went from the ACI to those neighborhoods. And there were neighborhoods in which there was virtually none, like right across the river. And then there were these neighborhoods that took just a huge, huge burden of people coming out of the ACI. And so my pitch has been constantly, not only do we need to support people as they come back out of incarceration and into society, but we also need to help support those neighborhoods and communities that bear a disproportionate burden. So we're fighting for that still. The only significant victory recently has been protecting the budget for that in this last budget agreement. We hope that we can get the second reentry bill passed, the Whitehouse Cornyn piece.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Senator.